from a galaxy far, far away.
And a bookshelf straight out of the 90s.
From Thrawn to Dantooine.
And everything in between. This is Legends Look Back.
Ba-da, ba-da-da, ba-da, ba-da-da, ba-da. Oh, hey, what's up? It is time for the show. We are, of course, in the month of March 2023. And that, of course, means it's basketball season. And that also means, for nerds like us, it's March Madness season related to other things that have nothing to do with sports whatsoever, including the YOUTINI book March Madness madness that we are having over on the social channels, and it has been a blast. Have y'all been paying attention to the March Madness bracketology happening over there in the socials?
This is madness.
It's so cool. Nathan, you run that, don't you?
No, Amir, our marketing manager, runs it.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it's his idea. He ran with it. It's been crazy for us.
Oh, it's so fantastic.
Yeah.
I'd like to take some of the credit because I got to look over the bracket before it went live to check it for Legends accuracy.
Oh.
And I was like, yeah,
So,
let's
so
get
you're
that.
the reason every matchup hurts so bad.
No. It was all Amir. I basically said, what if we slip Jedi in here? And also Young Jedi Knights. And then we were like, we talked about it a little bit. And then we didn't do that. So
Probably a good call.
well, we could talk more about it. It's been fun though. Legends has struggled
A little
Revan.
bit.
because I think there's some recency bias happening.
Oh, for sure.
I think a lot of our community with YOUTINI are newer Star Wars book fans, and that's great. I appreciate that YOUTINI has helped people get into Star Wars books, and for the most part, they're going to start with canon. However, so far the Thrawn trilogy, the original Thrawn trilogy, the one and only Thrawn trilogy, the other ones are good too. Don't get me wrong. But there's only one Thrawn trilogy. Boy, we could do a whole episode about how do we talk about these. That one did well. It absolutely crushed its opponent. I don't remember what it was. May it rest in peace. F's in the chat for the Thrawn trilogy's opponent. Also, I think, Rick, we've got an image. Wraith Squadron pulled out a big upset
Yes. I was happy to see that.
yesterday over the Princess and the Scoundrel. So that's very fun. Freddie, I know you're at least somewhat active on the Twitter sphere. Did you see who retweeted the Wraith Squadron matchup?
No, who did? I didn't see that.
Did y'all see this?
No.
I can't remember, but I saw it. I just don't remember who it was.
It was none other than Cornhorns creator Michael A. Stackpole.
No way. That's
We got that. We got that
awesome.
sweet Stackpole retweet, which of course skyrocketed Wraith Squadron to the victory, which is very fun. Today's matchup is Shadows of the Empire
Yeah.
versus
Wah, wah, wah.
Bloodline by Claudia Gray, and Bloodline shot ahead to an early lead, and then Legends Twitter got its nasty, dirty, grubby fingers on this matchup, and it just swatted it with a big slap of nostalgia.
Do we have a score on that one yet?
I don't think so.
I don't know that.
It was like
tally,
58-42 or something last I checked. It's getting close.
Oh, no.
But Bloodlines
to
is
get
still
on
ahead.
Twitter.
Close.
Oh, so I'm excited to see what will come of this contest. Congratulations to our marketing team, especially to Amir for the great work on that. And of course, if you are watching the show or listening, and it is still the month of March, chances are we're still doing this contest because, there's 2 matchups a day. There are 4 places that you can vote. Nathan, being our social media expert here, tell the good folks where those 4 places are while I try to figure out if my microphone is too loud.
Yeah, you can vote on YouTube, Community, Instagram, Twitter, or Discord. You can vote in all places too, if you're really passionate.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was one Legends matchup. I'm trying to remember what it was. I think it was Wraith Squadron. As soon as I got that notification over there in Discord, I just pulled out my computer, the iPad, the phone. I went ahead and got out my Sony Walkman from 1999, just for good measure. I wanted to find all the devices that I could possibly find to try to vote for Wraith Squadron, and you know, I don't know
You
if it
still
was the
have one
Walkman's,
of those?
credit or not, but it did win. No, I actually would kill to have one.
Okay.
It's just me exaggerating as one does. But no more exaggerating tonight, because we have got one wonderful book to talk about. And everybody's very excited to talk about this one, Dawn of the Jedi, Into the Void. I, for one, am especially excited to talk about it. Boy, am I. And before we talk any more about it, Rick, let's start the show. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Legends Look Back, proudly part of the YOUTINI Podcast Network. This is a Star Wars books podcast for people who like to drink psychedelic drinks like Fruitopia, where we celebrate our rich EU history as well as dive into lesser-known Star Wars classics. I'm your host, Jared Mays, and I'm joined tonight by my legendary co-hosts, the busiest man in the Wild West, Mr. Freddie C.
Hello, everyone. First of all, Jared, hold on, bear with me. You see all these stitches on this sweater here? There's a lot of stitches, okay?
Yeah.
But this stitch right here, this stitch is a Jedi.
Oh my gosh. Okay, that
Shout
took me a
out
while.
to what is colloquially known on Twitter as the cursed line from the audiobook. And there really is one cursed line in this book that it's like when you hear it,
There's a
you
few.
go, oh? Yeah,
But there's
a good old 90s Tim Allen impression there. You know who does a great Tim Allen impression? The master of blue milk himself, Rick Grace. There it is.
Yeah, that was okay. Yeah, I actually didn't get the joke. I was sitting there trying to figure it out, like scratching my head, and I felt really stupid. And then yeah, thanks for that.
You're not stupid, Rick.
You got to
We
dig
love you.
deep for that one. You have to have been
My
really
brain's not
fresh
there.
in your
Not
head
there. Yeah.
in the
Fair enough.
Rick, what's this blue milk thing you're talking about behind the scenes?
Dude, I want to save it.
I have no idea what
it's
this is.
It's a good idea. It's a good idea. I got something brewing.
Ooh, interesting.
You know
You
who
wanna
also
save
has
it?
something brewing, except for not anymore because that baby was born months ago. Emily Daybeck. How are you, Emily?
Doing okay.
Segues are hard, guys.
Oh my
How about
goodness.
transitions? Are they any easier?
Yeah, no, and I had something, and it just went out the window, just like the air conditioning on Lanoree ship or whatever. I got
So
stuff
good.
to talk about.
Peacemaker.
I'm excited. I thought this book was amazing. I can't wait to talk more about it.
I'm glad. You know who else may or may not think this book is amazing? And I don't know, because as soon as I found out they were reading the book, I said, all right, I need you to come on Legends Look Back and don't tell me anything else about your opinion. Save it for the show that is making their grand return to Legends Look Back, none other than Nathan Emery. How are you, Nathan?
Hello. Excited to be here. The other question I had about this book is why is there so much vomit?
There's a lot of vomit.
There is.
It's true.
Speaking of vomit, I got a stomach bug while reading this book.
Oh no!
And so, yeah, it circulated through the house. It was one of those that was so bad, I couldn't even watch YouTube. I was that sick. Like, curl into the fetal position and just, like, talk about dying a lot. I was not dying, but you would have thought I was. And so, here I am vomiting. And then I, like, finally feeling better, getting back out, walking the dog. And Lanoree's like, vomit, 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 vomit. And I was like, I don't think I can do this. So therefore, I have still not finished my reread. But the rest of you have, so we're going to talk about it. And that is tonight we are talking about Dawn of the Jedi Into the Void. And in fact, you can win your very own copy of this exact book. Because turns out, I accidentally bought a duplicate. So somebody gets to benefit from their very own brand spanking new, and by that I mean 10 years old, Dawn of the Jedi Into the Void hardcover. If you would like to win your own copy of Dawn of the Jedi Into the Void by Tim Lebbon, you can comment right here live in the YouTube comments this very night, this eve on which we are recording this
That's
podcast.
fine. We'll just leave it there for a second. There you
Otherwise-
go.
We'll never find out.
Did I buffer?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's the new software. It's
The
new
Matrix
software.
ate
If you want to
you.
win the copy of the book, comment in the comments below.
There
Right?
you go.
That's how you win. Rick,
Sure.
is that the details for the contest?
That's the details. You have to comment in the comment below on the
Simple and easy.
YouTube stream.
There's
You
no
need-
special
Listen, you need to
keyword.
call up to YouTube, have them come down here and record this, and that's how we know that. Sorry.
I'm going to call a press conference. Well, it's one way to get the book is to comment live here on the show. Another way to get the book is place your pre-order over on youtini.com. Go to the release schedule page, and you will find that in the very short list of upcoming Star Wars releases, Dawn of the Jedi Into the Void is being re-released very soon as part of the Essential Legends collection with artwork by none other than Steph Littlebird. Look at this cute little
okay.
book. Look at this thing.
Okay,
This
that's
scene
great.
reminds me of the scene of what is that? A Christmas Story, where they lick the pole.
What?
Same thing. I was going to say Dumb and Dumber.
No. What? No. Okay, you
You
should
know,
not
I
have
thought
said
this was
that. There's
pretty,
things I
and
can't
now I'm never
unsee
gonna
now.
unsee that. Yeah.
I really like this cover until
about
you
to-
ruined it.
She's about to lick that thing for sure, man.
Okay.
Put that on the t-shirt. All right.
Freddie, I kid you not, I was about to say the exact same thing. It was right on the tip of my
Nope.
sword licking tongue.
All right.
So, all right, but hey, on a serious level, what do y'all think about this cover? This is a drastic departure from the style of the other ELC covers.
I like it.
I love it so much.
It fits the
Why
art.
do you guys love it, Emily? Why do you love it?
Well, you were saying something and I cut you off, so please finish your
No,
thought.
that's okay. I think it's reminiscent of an old kind of what would you call it? Like old art, old school art, old art. Something that's not so new like what we see in the X-Wing series, but something that's more classic, which is this book, right? It's an older generation of Jedi, which my old roommate back in the day used to think it was jihadi at first.
Oh.
Yes. That was
Okay.
interesting.
Interesting.
He's like,
I don't know
so
about
this
that one, man."
jihadi council. And I was like, no.
Let's examine that for a minute.
You keep using that word. I do not think it means what you think it
I
means.
think you mean Jedi.
Yes.
And Nathan, what were you about to say about this cover?
To me, this looks like every intro cutscene from a Zelda game. I dig it.
Ooh.
That's
I can
Nice.
see that.
yeah. I can
that.
see that for sure.
At first glance, for me personally, this one didn't do it for me, but it has grown on me. I do appreciate that it's stylized. I like that it's different. And so I think that the ELC covers, I'm grateful to see a broad range of artistic
Yes.
style
Yeah.
going on here.
It needs to happen. It needs to happen. It would be boring if it was the same.
True.
Yeah, it would. And this is like, I think I like the style to be different for this book because this book is so different from all the others. It's old school, like legendary, like almost like a myth. It's kind of reads a bit like a myth
Yeah.
sometimes. So like to have that, a different cover, I think it's perfect for this book, for the content. And it actually depicts what's in the book, which you don't always get. So I find it delightful.
Wow.
It's mythical looking there. Comment from the Sloth.
Yes,
here in the
yes,
chat.
mythical.
Good to know. Good to know that Mike Wazowski's me. Whenever we turn that comment on, I just disappear. Covers me up.
Oh, it does.
Who's that guy?
I'll swap with you, Rick. You can.
Yeah, I'll say this, Rick, about the good folks here in the YouTube chat. They're always watching.
I will say that I do like this the color of this cover. The contrast is really cool. It reminds me of a deck of cards. You know, like that's what I think of is the what's that profile. So yeah. Anyway, it's good. Good stuff.
Oh, I have a good one. I
can
have a
see
good one. I
that.
have a good one. There are
Like a Joker?
depths.
There are
Oh,
my
there
gosh,
are
don't
depths.
Yeah.
Moving on. Emily,
Ah,
tell the
depths.
good folks the data about this book. Who wrote it? Where did it come from? And the ancillary periphery.
But
Absolutely.
how can she tell you the data when she's a mama?
Oh my gosh.
All right, moving
Come on, act cool in
All
front
right,
of our
so the-
friend. We've got company tonight.
We gotta keep it together, man. All right. So, Dawn of the Jedi: Into the Void is written by Tim Lebbon and published in 2013, so right before the acquisition. It is part of a crossover storytelling initiative between Del Rey Books and Dark Horse Comics. So Dark Horse published 16 comics from legendary comics team John Ostrander and Jan Duursema, published from 2012 to 14. Forstorm, The Prisoner of Bogan or Bogan?
I think it's Bogan, but
Bogan? Prisoner of Bogan.
Maybe Bogan.
And Force War. The entirety of the comics run is slated to be published in the Tales of the Jedi omnibus, releasing later this year. The hardcover of Into the Void contained a comic preview, and on the paperback version, it contained a story titled Eruption, written by John Ostrander. The reason we're covering it now is that Into the Void is to be re-released as part of the Essential Legends collection this May from Random House Worlds, which is formerly Del Rey, with cover art by Steph Littlebird. And issue 0 of the comic is essentially a visual handbook breaking down the new characters and settings of this era, which I would love to read that, quite
same
frankly.
here.
I need some visuals for this
So
crazy, brave new
I wanna
world.
talk about that a little bit more. Yeah, I want to talk about that a little bit more later on in the show. I've got it right here with me, and I could not, for the life of me, figure out, / I didn't have time, to upload images of the artwork from that handbook. But without that, I already did not love this book, sorry. But without that, I would have liked it a whole lot less than I already didn't like it. It's really cool. The handbook is great. Love it. 10 out of 10. Stamp of approval. Emily, I forgot until you said that a second ago that the hardcover has the comic inside it, tucked away. A little preview.
Ooh,
Look at this Tiger Jedi.
Oh yeah.
How
a
cool is he?
tiger Jedi?
Is that a Cathar? Or?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, he is the prisoner of Bogan, or Bogan if you're fancy like Freddy.
Magan.
When is that
This guy's-
podcast starting? Fancy like Freddy?
His name- yeah, this guy's name is like Mad Dog, but he's a
Mad
cat.
Dog.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Pretty sure his name is Mad Dog, or Mad Dog. Anyway, I don't think I've finished. I don't think I've finished. Why are y'all laughing? What did I say? Did I do that thing again?
No, it's a funny. I don't know. It's a funny.
The
It's a funny.
pronunciations on the show just like they never fail to disappoint.
I don't think personally that I finished reading the comic series because it's just a little bit stilted. It's very often left field, and we'll talk more about that in a minute. But the comic, many people are saying this, that the comic is better than the book.
Really?
So
Interesting.
I'm gonna have to check that out.
Yeah, I don't think
Very
I've read a
Nathan?
single Legends comic that hasn't been left field. So I know what the normal Legends comics are because I've yet to discover them.
Clones,
That's an excellent point, Rick.
slimy ones.
Yeah.
I was recently, speaking of Legends comics, I was recently looking through the original Thrawn trilogy adaptation. Sabayoth's beard in the comic is dope.
Yeah.
It is like 6 feet long. And
He's slinging it over his
problem
shoulder.
with the problem with the beard being that long is it covers his magnificent abs. Unfortunately,
Yeah, it's
Can't have that.
problematic.
what we got here, Rick?
Isgul said, issue 0 really helped me out understanding the world of the book. That sounds
Yeah.
like what you're saying, Jared. And so I'm going to check that out
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
started checking it out after reading it, and I feel like the book was missing some exposition. It's a hard one to like jump into cold if you're not familiar with this.
It's true. That's very true.
And I found that a lot of people do. This is a lot of people's starting point because they say, "All right, I'm gonna get a Legends. I'm gonna read it chronologically."
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Starting with the book that is the least like anything else in the history of Star Wars ever, and including our own buddy Adam from the YOUTINI High Council, or just the Council. I don't guess they're that high. Depends on
that we know of.
Yeah, the High Council is the secret one.
Oh,
Man.
I am the
Hey
president.
guys, somebody help me up out of this
Look,
hole,
there
please.
go the rails.
Please help me out. All right, so
We're
Anyway,
not great at staying
Adam
on track,
from-
Nathan. I apologize.
One of the Youtini VPs
too
started with Dawn of the Jedi Into the Void, so it did the job there. But the issue 0, it really is cool, and we'll talk more about it here in a little bit. Before we go any further, let's get into what this book is. So, without further ado, if you have not yet read Dawn of the Jedi Into the Void, make sure that you go and read it, or listen to the audiobook, which is narrated by January Lavoie, which is fantastic, very well done. And then you can check back out the rest of the episode later. So here we go. Jedi Ranger Lanoree Brock is tasked with a mission to find and stop her brother Dalian from digging up an ancient hypergate that will allow him to leave the system, or possibly, if he messes it up, send Tython into a black hole. The problem, Lanoree thought that she saw her brother die ages ago. What do you mean, stop my brother? He's dead! He's not. But he doesn't have spider legs either. He is kind of a massive pain in the butt, however. So, joining Lanoree on this quest is a punk Twi'lek with an extra brain tail. Gross! After numerous chapters of flashbacks to Lanoree kicking ancient Jedi butt and her brother being a gigantic whiny pain in said butt devoid of force-using capabilities, and a long and arduous Carmen Sandiego... come on! That can't even get through all the laughter. After a long and arduous Carmen Sandiego rigmarole reminiscent of a video game side quest, Lanoree and Dalian have an epic showdown at the site of the activating hyperspace, and I do love me a good sword fight. So that was cool. Plus, there's stargazers, bug-eating, swords. I said the swords. You heard the part about the swords.
Gross!
A lot of vomiting. Yeah, a lot of vomiting. And floating Jedi pyramids called Tho-Yor. There's actually an error at one point in the book where they call them Yo Thor. And I was like, "What's up, Yo Thor?"
Hey!
Anyway, yeah, there is one error there in the audiobook. So that one made me giggle a little bit.
Nice.
Nathan, as our esteemed guest, would you start us off? Rank the book on a scale from it's fair or mediocre. I don't remember which one of those this wears, up to masterpiece.
Oof. I'm going fair, just below good. I enjoyed it, but it's definitely in the fair range for me.
Oh,
High five. Ready? I agree.
I don't know which direction we're going.
That was the best internet high five in the history of the internet. Freddie, you and I did not see eye to eye on this book, however.
No.
I think you're going to give it a little higher than Nathan and me.
Yes.
Both of us in that mid to low tier.
So this book, I think the thing about it is I've read it before. Don't remember it. That's the thing, right? I don't really remember it. But this time around, I listened to it twice because we had so many weeks to listen to it. And I took Emily's advice and went 2.5 speed on this one. Got through it.
Dude.
Got through
that
it.
is not my advice, first and foremost. Get that away from me. Not my fault.
So I read it twice, or listened to it twice.
Okay.
I caught a lot. I mean, I was like, oh, I didn't even hear that the first time. And then
Skips entire
I
words.
read, per Jared's advice, I read issue 0, which painted the picture very vividly for me of the world that we just read. And that's the thing about this book, though. Oh, my goodness. It will come out of left field. If you've never read anything Star Wars, you might be okay with it. But if you're a Star Wars fan, then you get into this one. You have to remember how far back this is in terms of history, and the technologies that you know and the things that you know just don't really exist. And there's a lot of conspiracy. There's a lot of conspiracy going on. Uncovers some bureaucratic conspiracy, some Jedi conspiracy, conspiracy about where they live, how they all got there. It's a very, to me, I feel like the book just did not do justice to the story. When you dig into the comics, you will come back to the book and you appreciate the book, but I feel like, oh my goodness, we missed out on a lot of info here. So it's not a masterpiece because that's, I mean, we're talking Thrawn, we're talking Truce of Bakura. We're not talking Under That, right? Because I feel like Under That, there's a lot of special books there, but this is right. What is it? Good? This is good. I think it's good. Now
Freddie, I was reading this and I thought about you a lot. I was like, Freddie's gonna dig this.
Oh yeah,
I just know it.
What about it did you think he was gonna like?
There's so many things.
Martial arts.
Yes.
Oh yeah,
so
yeah.
The martial arts.
They go to
They've
this.
got a whole martial arts school built on top of a waterfall.
Yeah, that was pretty legit.
That's how I was.
And I was like,
Yeah.
okay, no, here's the part. When she was like, I got to go on my spaceship on an adventure, but first I'm going to lift some weights. That's when I thought about, that's when I thought, she was like, yeah, I don't really like to hang out with people. So I took out the extra bunk and I put it in a weight rack. I was like, yeah, Freddie's going to dig that for sure.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
I was working out too while I was listening to the book, and I was like, all right, Lanoree.
It's also,
I am
it's
also
like,
a Jedi, I guess.
it's like
say
a
that
little
word.
bit more hard sci-fi.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
And you like that stuff.
Yeah, I like sci-fi. I like hard sci-fi. It's weird. Here's the thing. It's weird to read it in Star Wars for me. I feel like it's weird to read it. When I'm reading this book, I don't feel like I'm reading Star Wars, which is weird, but it almost relates it enough to Star Wars where I can still gather where it's coming from. But it's a hard book to digest. You definitely need to get into the comics and read issue 0 before you start jumping in if you want to get some background, because it works.
Great comment here in the chat from Diligent Sloth, who said, these are some primordial Star Wars stories. What a great word, primordial.
Yeah, that's a good.
Wow. Forgot that word was a word. But
Now I want
it
soup.
is again. Primordial soup. Yeah, I almost feel like this book is if somebody watched Star Wars inebriated or like half asleep 30 years ago
Yeah.
and then was told to try to write down the plot of Star Wars.
This Jedi started licking her sword, and
But like the moons, like dark side and light side, they use the terms from George Lucas's earlier drafts of the script, Ashla and Bogan.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like based off of that side of Star Wars. The side of Star Wars that really wasn't that great of an idea, and so George ditched it. All right, Rick, you are up. What is your review of Dawn of the Jedi Into the Void?
I think I'll rate it a strong good, maybe great. If we had a great, we don't have a great on our scale. So definitely heavy good, maybe even incredible, I guess. But it's up there. I do have some issues. For one, there's 19 chapters, and that's just annoying. You couldn't just make 20. That's just gonna bug me.
That's your complaint. Your biggest complaint.
No, that's just
It's an odd number of chapters.
It is quite irksome. And then the whole who is the brother? What was his name?
Dale.
Earnhardt
Dalian.
Jr.
Dalian. That's what it was. I was like, I remember when we first started reading this book, and we get to this guy's name is Dalian, as in alien plus D. Alien.
Dalian.
And I was like, this is not a great start. And I looked it up, and the guy's British, and so like that doesn't sound as redneck in real life as it does in my brain. But that kind of threw me for a loop. Alien and their adventures. So
I think Nathan gets a shout out for staying so chill as we're all just dying.
No, we've all unwound.
Oh,
and
man.
Nathan is stone cold.
Dalian.
Stone
Yeah.
cold. The alien.
we definitely have the giggles tonight.
Oh,
And then I didn't know anything about this book going in, and so I expected it to be way more before there was any kind of like Jedi established. I kind of expected it to be that this girl on the cover, Lanoree, that's her name, but I expected her to just be like randomly discovers that she can use the Force, and so
That
I
would've been
kind of
cool.
came up with my own.
That
Right,
would've
it would have
been
been really cool, and like she's the first Force user, and everyone's like, burn the witch or something.
Oh yeah, I could see that.
But that's not what it was, and I'm glad because it was a really good story, and I liked the journey. I liked the world building, the whole dome cities and all that with the gas planets or whatever. Freddie, you
There's
good?
a lot of lore.
The chat.
There's a lot of world building.
There is.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. A ton. We're going to talk more about that in a second. Emily,
Lanoree.
your review. Lanoree. That would be a great name. That's a good one. Thank you. All right, Emily, your review.
Yes.
Are you more Team Freddie or more with me and Nathan on this?
I thought it was good. I don't know what you didn't like about it. There was a lot of violence, which is, you usually like it. I guess because there weren't like a bunch of starships, you didn't like it quite so much.
More violence.
I thought the plot
The
moved.
starships was the great part. The peacemakers, those are cool.
Yeah, that was cool. All right, and to be fair, like most of the problems that I have with the book, when you think about it, it makes sense. Like throwing a gem on her ship is like kind of a weird thing to just add because it doesn't really come into play later, but it does establish that she is really physically fit, which is Dalian. That's really important to him as well. And then I don't know, like it also like they have like gyms at the International Space Station, so like there is like a realm of like, okay, so that could be necessary to maintain like fitness in space because she does spend a lot of her time on her ship in space. So anyway,
Never
because
should
I
be
thought
able to
about that, I was
revisit
like,
the
I
same.
laughed at that part because I thought that is the most
Got a
ridiculous
picture
thing.
here. Look at that peacemaker.
Yeah.
That's
That's
cool.
So cool.
Spending too much time fitting this sword in my mouth. Okay, sorry.
I definitely
Anyway.
did. So I thought it was good. I thought it was like a solid good. I lean with Rick, like it's on the better side of good.
Yeah.
There are some obvious concerns with the book, but I don't think that really, like, the concerns, like the weird parts didn't detract from the overall impression I got from the book, nor did it want me to make me stop reading it. I think that, like, so I kind of got Splinter the Mind's Eye vibes with this one. It kind of felt the same to me, where it took like a lot of really big risks and just went out there. But I thought it was better than Splinter. So I think it's I think it earns a good title or a good rating.
Got a great comment here. Speaking of Splinter the Mind's Eye from Isgul in the chat, they say, this is my third Star Wars book. I read A New Hope, Splinter of the Mind's Eye, then this
oh my
one.
Gosh.
So far, this was the best book. Which, among those three, I think you're right.
It only
is-
gets better.
Yeah, it's valid.
Keep going.
Yeah.
I will say one more thing. It's actually, I think, my biggest criticism. I had plenty of time, but I was rushing to finish up the book. And, okay, I don't know if you guys have. Have y'all ever experienced, like, watching a film on, like, an actual film projector that has, like, a spool?
Okay,
You ever done that before? So unlike a VCR or a DVD, when it runs out, a VCR will click, Yeah. But the film, it runs out of frames and it just goes white. There's nothing left, right? It kind of like just keeps going. Like the projection keeps going even though there's no film. That's how I felt the book ended. Like the climax hit and then the resolving action like just kept going and the book was over.
I see a lot happens in the comics too. That's like, I feel like we're all, there's a lot going on over there.
And
That is really, it's a comics tie-in. It's like not a standalone novel, really.
I wish I had known that.
Yeah, that's true.
Because I totally got that
as best I
impression, Rick.
As best I understand, there was supposed to be more slated to come. So this was basically, if you think about it in High Republic terms, just phase one. And so there should have been so much more. Like this is the start of a new era. And they're just barely beginning to scratch the surface. And so in this book, she goes and trains. She and her brother go train at all the temples. And so it's like an introduction to... I just texted my wife to come up and get this cat out of here. I swear, she's driving me insane. We're having our own like Lanoree and Dalian battle down here. She's biting me because I'm in her chair, and she's like, "Quit podcasting, quit biting me."
For our audio
sword when you need
listeners,
it.
Jared's cat has graced her with her very powerful presence and has been trying to weave her way in between him and the chair.
She just crawled up on my shoulders like I was Thrawn, and she was my Salamari. So shout out to the cat. Anyway, there was supposed to be more, and then Disney flushed Dawn of the Jedi down the toilet, and by that I mean into an essential Legends collection near
Into the
you.
void.
So let's talk about the characters.
Hey,
That's right.
Ooh,
Let's talk about the characters. Lanoree Brock, first and foremost, Lanoree Brock. Here's my big question: is she a likable character,
Yes.
or is she too prickly?
That's
Too prickly. Emily, as our resident lady on the show, what is your? Don't let me, poo-poo on Lanoree too much here. What's your thought on?
I thought she was too wimpy,
Lanoree.
personally. Where I thought, like, she is definitely likable. I mean, like, she's on her own. She's that ranger type character, and she's clearly very strong. Like, she is prickly, sure, but like, I got real sick of her not killing Dale, personally. I was like, you should have made this choice so many choices ago. I don't know why you keep thinking you can save him when I've read at least 6 times already that you can't save him, and you know that you can't save him. So, like, what are you doing?
So this is kind of that story, right? It's like this whole, and this is what I was talking about, why I feel like this book is so great. It just drags you into this. You want the alien to basically get saved, right?
That's true.
You sort of want him to turn around and become or something, right? Like a Sith or something. You want him to be something, but then she kills him, and that's the end of the story, and that's the end of his life. And then we go on to find out that he's just being manipulated, and it's like, oh, she just killed her brother because other people higher in the bureaucracy and aristocracy or whatever were manipulating this whole situation to happen. So now it turns like, what could have happened? Maybe Lanoree, because at this point we have to all remember that the Jedi, or I don't know where that thing is at, the accent mark in there somewhere, but
not jihadi though.
Not jihadi. That's
No.
That's totally different. Yes. But there's no real line of what's dark and what. I mean, we got a Sith on the Jedi Council, right?
Yeah.
And who knows like what would have happened? She could have turned more like a chaotic good and found out how to activate this thing and destroyed those people that made him, basically get killed. And that's kind of the drama between it, and that's why I love it so much. Is like you go on this trip with her and you're like, oh, come on, and then out of nowhere he's just done, he's gone, and that's it. It was so easy. It took like seconds almost for her to get rid of him, and it was so underwhelming. But the thing behind it is that conspiracy, right, to use this person and to use him for their means, and for them to just use it, get out of there, and that's it. They're gone. Right. So
That's a great point, Freddie.
Yeah.
It's thought provoking. You've seen it from a different angle.
2.5 speed, double time.
Maybe I should finish. Maybe I should finish my reread, and I'll appreciate it more.
I don't know. I felt like it felt flat. It seemed like anticlimactic, and then she just like didn't seem to care too much. Like all the character arcs that had been kind of building just fell flat for me. I also didn't particularly care for either of these characters, so like I wasn't very invested in Dale's redemption or anything like that.
I found Dalian more interesting. Lanoree, I think my biggest criticism is for whatever reason I don't find her that likable of a character. Maybe if she had one of those save the cat scenes, that would have done it for me. Like, oh, she's got a good heart. Instead, she's kind of like, I just kind of like to ride around on my ship and lift weights and do missions. And there was an essential heart that was lacking in terms of Lanoree really connecting. However, I will be the first to admit that it was great to see a female Jedi leading their own book. Because in Legends, this besides Knight Errant, I can't think of another. I suppose Mara Jade and Jaina Solo to a certain extent, but even then, they're not
Jaina's
independent.
never.
They're known for their counterpart, right? Where Lanoree is completely came out of nowhere for all of us. New character, not brought up by anybody. Whereas Jaina's, she's a solo, of course, and then of course we've got Luke's association with Mara Jade.
Right.
Uh,
Right.
But completely on their own.
never-
No background. Yeah. This is different. And it's also 2013, so I feel like Lucasfilm was probably trending towards where we're at now with Disney. I think it's a good change. It has
more
to happen.
inclusive, better representation. And this was
yeah.
already leading that charge. I agree. We have a great super chat here from Austin Bovington. Shout out to Austin for that. I appreciate it. Thanks for the support. He says $1 for each host, straight into Corey Hilton's back pocket. So I appreciate that. No, we were just having a behind the scenes chat earlier this week about getting some new equipment, some new gear, and so thank you to everybody who helps make that happen. Because tonight I literally have my phone duct taped to a stick so that I can have a camera.
Really?
Because my wife ran off with the tripod because it's hers, and she's doing a mural, and so she had set up the whole gear and didn't bring it home. And I was like, dang it, Bobby. I mean, my wife. Anyway, so. All right, Lanoree Brock, we talked about her. And it is great to see a lady Jedi leading her own book, and she's independent and fierce and does alchemy, which I'm not totally sure I understood.
That was interesting.
That was real weird.
Yeah.
Alchemy of the flesh.
That was real weird.
I wonder what they
the
were
basic-
building to.
The basic idea is all the Jedi get to specialize in something. Like they get a major, like in college, right? And so her specialization is alchemy. That's about as far as I got with that.
Her mom was, what was her mom? It was like art and prose, and her dad was, I forget, maybe science of some sort. I don't know. That part was,
Definitely.
yeah. But it's interesting.
Somebody needs to flush Rick out of this show. With dad jokes, that's for
I
sure.
know. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so the alchemy was an interesting turn. So I feel like the alchemy served a couple purposes. It is like a morally dubious specialization, right? So it hovers closest to the dark side of all the specialties. So I think that it kind of put her in doubt. You don't know what she's going to do at the end because she has been diving so hard into this like dark art. So in that regard, I thought it worked pretty well. Where it added kind of like some grit to her character, and it did insert some doubt into my mind as the reader as to what she was going to do. Like it felt like the stakes were really high because I really didn't know what she was going to choose at many given points in time. My main concern is when she has created this blob of her flesh that she
With her
uses
eye.
to plug the hole in her own body. Yeah. Why does it have an eye?
Speaking of vomit.
I don't know.
This is the sci-fi part, right? It's like
that was so
strange.
weird, guys. It was so weird.
There are parts of this book that just, I feel like they're there to keep the story going along, right? Just like this ball of flesh, which is very, very interesting because she was probably going to die if it wasn't for this eyeball of rolling flesh.
My thought there,
like
getting very medical, is a teratoma, which is a tumor that has like hair or teeth that can grow on your body. That was where my mind went.
Interesting.
Nope, don't like it. No, I don't like it one
But
bit.
on the alchemy piece, though, my thought, I'm very interested in like what could have happened in these 20,000 years before we get any more media. And I'm wondering if somehow this is like connected to Plagueis and immortality, and like this
that's what I was
manipulation kind of leads there somehow.
Oh, I had
And
not
that's
thought
what
of that.
when Jared mentioned, the ending of this, or when this was published, which was the very end of Lucas publishing into Disney publishing, trying to figure out what would have come after this, right? Because now we've got this story of this, and it might be the author saying, "Oh, I'm going to throw them a bone," and then the next author, whoever writes the story, has an idea of what to do with it, and it leads up to Plagueis. I could totally see the story group saying, "Work some like flesh in there."
Yeah. Make it one requirement, make it fleshy.
Yeah, it's really weird though.
It was
So
weird.
it's got some interesting ideas. Some of them land better than others. Got a great comment from Sloth here in the chat. It says I think nope, not that one. Dawn of the Jedi walked so that Light of the Jedi can run, and so I do. You can see the development. For sure. All right, what's that other comment there, Rick? What was the next one you were trying to show off?
Yeah, I think it showed that the Jedi were more willing to use the dark side as long as they were balanced.
That was the whole thing, right? Jedi they straddle the line.
Yeah,
and there's
Dan
a balance.
Powell's experiments on Tresana like caught me off guard a little bit because I was like, this doesn't sound like something a Jedi would do, and that's when it started to click for me that this is like a very different idea of the Force than the Jedi we're used to.
Exactly.
Nate, didn't they say that Triana, or I don't know who it was basically like a Jedi slave?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's pretty much
Jedi
it. And like the
slave-
experiments went too far, and
yeah.
there's this whole gray area.
Nope, missed that.
There's a lot of gray stuff. Oh, hey, Freddie, remind me. After the episode, I was sleepless when I was sick a couple weeks ago, and I wrote an entire outline for a show about gray Jedi.
Yes.
People talking. So you people are gonna hate it for sure. It's a very divisive topic.
Nathan's already
Nathan, you're
shaking their head.
Shaking your head. What's your thoughts on gray Jedi?
I'm glad I'm not on for that one. That's all I'm gonna say.
Oh man. Well, so we're talking about this brother-sister combo. We talked about Lanoree. Let's talk about Dalian. And I've got a big objection here. Okay, perhaps it's more of a head scratcher. For a saga where romantic attachments and all that accompanies them is a no-no, there's really a lot of stories in Star Wars about sibling rivalries.
Oh
aren't there?
yeah. Yeah.
It seems like the vast majority of Star Wars stories revolve around a romantic pairing.
That's why I think this is
You got-
Shakespearean. I mean, right? Go ahead, Jared.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Well, I was going to say you got Luke and Leia, Jason and Jaina, and here, Dalian and Lanoree. I feel like I'm missing a big one. Oh well.
Did you say Luke and Leia?
Oh,
Yeah.
no, you
how
said
about the ones in the Visions? That counts,
Yeah,
right?
Sure.
Yeah. That's a good point. It's interesting, and I said it. I said this in Slack when we were talking to each other about the book and trying to figure out, thoughts and whatnot. But it's kind of a Shakespearean twist, right? Of siblings, one who just really wants her brother to be a better person and hopes the best for him, and the other one who is, as Lanoree's dad said, just on his own, right? On his what was it? On his way. He's trying to find his way, something like that. Obsessed with this thing that, first of all, I wonder how he even got a whiff of it. I guess is it a known thing that they're not from Tython, or is that like a hidden fact? I couldn't remember that.
The parents?
I think it's kind of
No.
implied that humans in general they don't belong there.
Yeah.
Okay.
They talked about the ancient city and how they knew that was the first settlers, kind of. So I think they knew that they didn't originate there.
Yeah. Okay. So that's the interesting part, because I feel like it's too bad we didn't get to see what was coming after this, or what the whole vision was. I wonder if there's a leak out there somewhere of what the plan was. But seeing him go for the knowledge part, right, deeper and deeper, almost seems very Sith to me. Just seeking knowledge continuously, just getting consumed with it, right? And it ended. I remember reading it, and I was like, well, it didn't really end the way I thought. I thought he was going to go the opposite way and just become, the opposite thing that people were like, oh, those are weird. We don't like that. We're going to be Jedi now. We're going to take that apostrophe out for some reason. Oh, and that Sith on the council, she really likes what's going on over here with Dalian. But yeah, it's weird. I feel like it's incomplete, but with that, check out the comics. Definitely a story there.
Sure.
It makes sense. I feel like a lot of people like it. The Jedi.
Now, I'm not 100% sure that I really love Dalian. However, there was one page that made me kind of root for him. And I made a note of it on the audiobook, and it's right there, my phone. So I can't grab it. But, maybe in the Discord, I'll find the clip and I'll play it. He basically says, you've all had all these expectations for me. Sure, I'm not like that great of a Force user. I can't use the Force real good like all y'all. Lanoree, she's just really excels at her Force powers, but isn't that nice. And, growing up with a sister like that, I don't really blame him for doing some dark stuff either. He basically says, you've got all these expectations, and the Jedi, they're manipulating you, they're controlling you. There's all these expectations and their rules, and you're not even yourself when you use the Force. You're this mindless being, and I don't want that. That's not the path that I want to have for myself. And I was kind of like,
Yeah.
he's right.
Yeah, he had some excellent points.
Well, that was the part that I think, everyone should realize, like, the Force was being stuffed down his throat. Oh, it's just a matter of time. Or, oh, he's not very strong with it. It was just, he's like, leave me alone. Let me just go and leave me alone. And he couldn't do that. He couldn't, because that wasn't part of the plan.
Yeah, to me, it was a little bit of, I guess, kind of an Anakin situation where it was like an inflection point, and if they had just encouraged him at that point instead of being like, this is what you need to do, you need to come back to the Force, like, we're worried about you, then maybe it wouldn't have been so bad. But that was really what drove him away and drove him to, like, become ultimately this kind of one-minded villain.
I kind of wonder if Dalian is if it's even fair to categorize him as a villain. Had a great point earlier in the chat from somebody who called him an antagonist, which I think is true. He's an antagonist, though. Would you call him a villain? I'm not sure that I would.
He was played.
Yeah.
Freddy's like, the devil made me do it sort of thing over here.
He was played.
By the end, I feel like he didn't really care about life or really anything else other than just getting this thing working.
He was a madman.
Yeah.
Sure.
But for a while, I think he was just misunderstood.
Yeah. And I never got what was so bad. I get that, like, if their experiment failed, it would have, like, blown up the whole planet. But, like, that's bad. But, like, I never got, like, why this idea of wanting to travel and open up a new method of faster transportation was bad. Like, why were the authorities not experimenting or researching a way to do this safely?
Conspiracy.
I know, right?
Yeah,
So-
it definitely felt like we did not
perhaps
have
the
all the
answers
information.
Yeah, and that's why a lot of fans, at least one of their big gripes is like, why couldn't Legends and I'm sympathetic, I'm partial to this view, though I don't agree 100%. They say, like, the Legends canon split, sure, that makes sense, but what if the stories that were already in development were finished properly first? Given a proper conclusion. So Dawn of the Jedi, they started it. Exactly. That's the point. Like, it's like, hey, we started the story, but we're never going to see the end of it. You thought I froze there, didn't you? Okay, so read the comic series. Speaking of which, that handbook really does make some things make sense. And let's talk about it a little bit. I think that the world building is perhaps the book's strongest suit.
Yeah.
Its greatest strength is the world building.
And that's what I think this was for, right? It was intended to build. That way the other stories can just go on and... Yeah.
Sure. So Tython itself, we just saw its return fairly recently through the Baby Yoda show, and the Mandalorian. And there they go back to Tython. And in fact, in this handbook, you can see that the place that they went to in the Mandalorian is in this comic.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, I
Whoa.
didn't quite realize that they really did pay some homage to. Let's see, the name of the site is the Old City, I think. I don't know. There's a couple of different places that it might be because it's like kind of ruins. There's also pyramids. What was your favorite part of like traveling around Tython and to its different planets and the moons? Did you have a particular location or a locale that was fun to you? Do you need me to give you some choices?
With all the
Do you hear
gas?
the
All
one
the
with
poison gas?
Oh, yeah.
You've got gas?
That made them sick? How about this? Which of the schools would you most like to train at? Here we go. You've got Kaleth, the Temple of Knowledge. It's perched over a force nexus. It's where the Jedi gather as a whole when important matters arise. It's here that decisions and judgments are rendered on behalf of the entire Jedi Order. So think like High Council chambers. You've got Bodhi, the Temple of the Arts. Bodhi, the Temple of the Arts. It looks kind of boring. So,
think it's
shout out
Bodhi.
to the artists. But come on. All right, Anil Kesh. What's up with these names, man? Anil Kesh, the Temple of Science. Yeah. We've got it's over the chasm, so there's depths in the chasm.
Oh.
All right. Marrakesh, the Temple of Healing, is located in the deep ocean.
It almost sounds like they were going to make an MMO for this whole thing.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean they really do flesh out and then this artwork for Vertep, the Forge.
What is that
so
thing in
cool,
the
man.
corner
This-
over there with that? Is that like a ball of
What, the
flesh?
Sith with the nose
Oh,
ring?
never mind.
Yeah. So you got Vertep, the Forge. The temple lies directly over an active volcano. So that's cool. All right, which of those schools would you most like to train at? Did we get to the martial arts one? Stavkesh,
There.
the Temple of Martial
Yeah.
Arts. That's Freddy's answer. And then Padawan Kesh. That one's easy enough to remember. Padawan Kesh. I got it. The Jedi Academy. Excuse me. The Jedi Academy.
There you go.
Oh, one more. Dang, there's a lot of temples. Holy crap. Akarkesh, the Temple of Balance.
Are you sure it's
This
not-
is the
never
one
mind. Let
that
me
looks
go
like Baby Yoda's hangout. All right.
Uh-huh.
Which of those schools would you most like to train at? Emily, lead us off.
Oh, gosh, there's a lot of choices.
What was the one over the volcano again?
The Forge.
I'll find it while Emily answers. Yeah. Honestly, every single thing I read, I'm like, what is this?
I was actually really curious what Nathan would choose.
That's a good punt. Way to punt that away. Good-
Well, no, I was like, you're our guest, and like you haven't really spoken much, so I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah. I feel like I'm most interested by the Temple of Balance, but I do have to say though, I really liked Master Tave. He seemed super chill on Stavkesh, and he was like, "Let's just breathe, Let's do the the lesson," and then it's like, "That's why you need to breathe." That guy was cool.
That was probably the best scene in the whole book.
Yeah.
When he kicks all their butts and then it said, because he started off by saying, hey, you've come to the Temple of Martial Arts and the first lesson is breathing. And they all say, breathing, we want to have a sword fight. And then when he kicks their butts, he says, see, I beat you by breathing.
Yeah.
You tense up while you fight, and you breathe really hard.
Breathing-
and you, I don't know what you're
Breathing's
doing.
very important in
but
martial
breathing.
arts. That's the thing.
I knew you were going to say that,
It's
Freddie.
so
I knew
important.
it.
Like, for instance, you hold your breath in judo, you get thrown on the ground, you're probably gonna burst an eyeball. I don't know what can happen when you hold your breath and you slam the ground really hard. It's not good though.
Burst an
Doesn't feel
eyeball.
good.
That's a scientific answer.
There's a lot of eyeballs going on in this. Too many eyes.
Any more schools that you liked? We got some great answers here in the chat. Very technical answer here from Diligent Sloth, the waterfall one. So
The waterfall. Nice.
that I
Yeah.
believe that one's the martial arts temple
Yes.
perched
I
atop
want to
the
know
waterfall.
which school is the one where you learn like street smarts. Is that like public school, Kesh? Where you learn how to?
We all know,
Padawan Kesh.
we all know, Rick, that you would go to the school with videography and Bible.
Yeah. I was thinking the knowledge one over the Force Nexus, whatever that is. That sounded cool.
Yeah, that would be my choice, I think.
I think you've got to be like a Jedi High Council member to go there.
I'd do that. It's fine.
You got to start you
Okay.
got to start off with breathing.
Listen, you just asked what we
yeah,
wanted.
right.
You didn't ask if we were qualified, Jared. The heck
It's
is
like
that?
the name your price tool, okay? You just,
And then at the end of the episode, Freddie's going to tell us that he actually had like a doctorate the whole time and never told us. Aren't
Who,
you like a
me?
rocket scientist, Freddie?
Yeah, sort of. Aerospace.
And Emily, you've got a master's degree, so you're like halfway there.
Emily
to
has like
this.
10 degrees roughly.
I don't have 10 degrees. I have one master's degree, but thanks for rubbing it in.
How many degrees do you
know-
have, Emily? Don't you have like a lot
I
of
have 2
undergrad-
degrees.
Okay.
I
Why
was
do
a triple major,
I have
and I could have gotten
98.6
2
degrees of
bachelors.
Hey.
I don't know why,
Moving on.
Emily. You
There's-
just come off to me as someone who has like 5 different degrees, like finance.
Oh, no. I just have a lot of like side projects. I'm not interested in going to school anymore, but I never want to stop learning. Like I love
Yeah.
learning. So
That's good.
I wish I was
Temple
cool
of
enough to like
knowledge.
have a cool job, but you know.
You do have a
But
cool job.
you have the greatest job of all, which is mom.
Oh, you guys.
So
Well,
there.
Legends
Okay,
Look Back
because-
post and then.
Oh yeah. I mean that's way up there.
That's
Priority number
Legends
1.
look
Okay,
back
so
up.
so you might have to be a temple master in order to be in the temple of knowledge. Jury's out on that. Lord knows I don't really understand this book, but I do know this much: there's 5 different levels of Jedi, and I find this an interesting contrast to what ends up being the homeostasis for much of Star Wars, which is you got your masters, knights, Padawans, and younglings in the traditional scheme of things. In this, however, there's a little bit more nuance. You've got Padawan, Journeyer, Ranger, Master, and Temple Master. What's the difference? And which one is better?
The Ranger felt like a way seeker to me, which was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So explain to our uninitiated Legends fans what a Wayseeker is.
Wayseeker is a concept in the High Republic of a Jedi who leaves like the temple and kind of the established missions to go pursue something that they feel called to do out in the galaxy.
So kind of like our favorite gray Jedi, Quinlan Voss, right?
yes.
No, he's a Jedi Guardian. He's like appointed over a specific district. When the pirates started making trouble in his neighborhood, like he had to protect his home planet. That's his. I think it's different.
Is that Fresh Prince? Is that where you're going with that?
That was so good. That was so flawless.
You're really on point
It's the
tonight.
thing though. Like he gets assigned a district, so boundaries. On patrol. Another great comment here in the chat from Kit Fisto himself. Shout out to Kit Fisto. Thank you for that $2 dono. Kit Fisto says, I love the temple in the deep ocean, which I believe is the temple of healing.
That was like my
is
second
cool.
choice, but absolutely not. Am I going to the deep freaking ocean? You can send that back.
I don't
Far
even go
away.
in the shallow ocean.
There's a
Yep.
little hole right here.
Yep.
Yeah.
I like ocean adjacent. Do not even in
Ocean
the depths.
adjacent.
Depths.
There are depths.
Ugh.
What that line? Oh my goodness! They say it so many. How many times do you think they say there are depths in this book?
You should get a tattoo of it on your forehead.
Jared's least favorite book.
By the way, if you would like to win my copy of this book, you are welcome to have it. Please, somebody take it from me.
What's the
we're giving
donation
away-
that would be needed to get a tattoo on your forehead?
Not on the forehead. Not on the forehead. I'm open to more like Star Wars tattoos. I still haven't told my dad about my the last one I got. So we're coming up on a year.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Process
liked
that
it, though.
pre-disapproval.
When they said
I
like
know.
there are depths, in my mind it felt foreboding. It felt like there was a lot more to the story. I really was intrigued by that. They did say it a lot, but I didn't really get tired of it.
Yeah, it's like a refrain, which I appreciate there being like a line that's repeated. Like that's a good literary technique. I'm just not sure it was this one.
Hey,
Well,
Jared.
I got a little more tired of Light and Life than I did of the There Are Depths. Maybe it's because
I was about to
just
say that,
Blasphemy.
Emily. I was about to say that.
Blasphemy.
I was literally about to say that.
I liked it the first
Hey,
couple
here's a-
books, and then they just kept going with it, and I was like, all right.
There's a
Listen.
great refrain
Rebrand.
in the Lando books where the
I'm glad I'm
the
not alone.
droid Buffy Ross. Nathan, have you read the old school
Haven't.
Lando books? Don't do it. There's a great refrain in. Actually, I think the third one is quite good. There's a great refrain where the droid always refers to Lando as master. So he's like, hey, I got your hot cocoa ready, master. And Lando, every single time, Lando says, don't call me master. And
Works every time.
that actually, it's pretty funny until it's not.
Hey,
All right, so we've talked about. Go ahead, Rick.
No, it's nothing. I was just gonna say I actually might get a tattoo of for Light and Life because I love that. So y'all can go to the depths on your own. Okay,
Oh,
It's okay.
Good
It's not like it's
void,
going to be
buddy.
said any less.
It's beautiful, man, and
It
it's
is.
so good.
It is. It's
is a great
beautiful.
sentiment.
It resonates. I'm just saying. This. I feel
Sometimes
like this is similar.
resonating can be just a little too much, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like a
This
gong
is a Legends podcast.
right by your ear.
All right, get that Light of the Jedi back in October.
Into the
when we covered
depths.
it.
Okay.
All right, so we've talked about the characters, talked about the world building of Tython, the ranks of Jedi, the really cool schools. Let's get into the some final thoughts here before we close out the show. One of the really awesome things that this does is you get a more nuanced view of the Force. So we don't quite have the rigidity of dark and light, though there's shades of it in this book. Talked a little bit about gray Jedi earlier on in the episode. But we do find, if we can find the comment from earlier, about how in this book there's Jedi who are able to have a better
I'm just
sense
gonna
of
leave it for a
balance.
second. There we go.
There's Jedi who have a little bit of a sense of balance in terms of they know their own inner darkness. Lanoree talks about like, oh, I'm thinking about Bogan, the moon. That is a moon over there. Bogan, the moon of Bogan, the dark moon, and there's the light moon, and I don't totally understand all that was happening there. But we do see in this book a nuanced view of the dark and light shades of the Force. Do you think that this view of the Force is more or less balanced than what we eventually arrive at with a clear dichotomy of dark and light much later in the saga? Nathan, you're our guest. Lead us off.
That's a tough question. It was definitely interesting that they played it this way. To me, it seems like they lean more towards the light side still and just kind of dip into the dark side a little bit. But in terms of balance, I guess I would lean towards kind of the newer traditional view of like having a light side and having a dark side, because this all felt very ambiguous and there's kind of no clear creed for what it means to be a Jedi and exactly like the use of the Force, and just saying like you feel off balance because you dipped a little too far one way felt a lot more ambiguous than like these are kind of the parameters that Jedi operate in and these are the values they hold and like this is the way the Sith go. So I don't know. I felt like there was no clear delineation of what balanced actually meant, and it was just kind of like you're mostly light and then you can dabble in the dark a little bit as long as you don't go too far that way.
Nate, you have it right on. So they do have a code. I just looked it up because I remember hearing it several times. And it's exactly, it's like, you can see the good in it, exactly what you said, and then you can see where like they kind of dip into the dark side. I'm going to read it and let me know what you think.
Yeah, I was about to say, I think it's in the handbook.
Okay, so the Jedi code is, there is no ignorance, there is knowledge. There is no fear, there is power. I am the heart of the Force. I am the revealing fire of light. I am the mystery of darkness. In balance with chaos and harmony, immortal in the Force. So you've got some weird things there that don't kind of
You
work.
dug that up, Freddie, out of the depths of the void there. It's like a combination of the Jedi code and the Sith
It
code,
is.
plus some nonsense that doesn't make any sense.
And
Yeah.
like the central conflict of this book is like Force versus no Force. It's not light side versus dark side.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a great comment.
Here's a thought. Some of the Legends books get into this, and also the sequel trilogy of movies gets into this, and pointing out that the Jedi Order was flawed, and that their view of the Force was wrong. And so I think this book does kind of bring balance, and I can't recall the source, but if I recall correctly, I know George Lucas was influenced heavily by Buddhism and some Taoism, some of the other Eastern religions that focus heavily on balance. And in Taoism, that whole yin yang philosophy of you're both good and evil, and you pour into them equally, kind of comes to the surface. And so I think that's really well shown in this. Is it right, or is it the best way to approach the Force? Maybe not, but I think that it was a cool representation, and I think that there's no true Force. What the Force really is. I keep having to back up and say, oh yeah, this is just fiction, but. Yeah, anyway, so I liked that. I thought it was cool.
It does make sense
what?
logically, too. It's like if you discovered this Force and you're like, oh, I'm Force sensitive, I can do all these things. And then you're trying out a bunch of things. And then you're like, oh, if I go too far this way, like bad things happen. But sometimes I can use this to make a good thing happen. And like you wouldn't say, oh, we have to do, be all on the light side of the Force. Like that dichotomy wouldn't happen naturally from just like discovering the Force. Until you start using it for bad too much.
Jared, I'm gonna pipe in here because I have a feeling that we've never really talked about this, and this is probably a great Jedi topic, but I agree with Nathan on what he says about, what you said about the basically the traditional view of Star Wars, which is there is a light side, there is a dark side, and a gray Jedi, in my opinion, should be rare and very far and few in between, because they shouldn't exist, in my opinion, unless it's someone like Revan who is incredibly powerful, right? Versus because the dark side is intense and trying to, just for anybody to straddle that line of the gray Force, right? It shouldn't be possible. It shouldn't be possible because it's too much of a it's fast, right? It's fast, and before you know it, you're just going to seek power. You're going to seek more power.
It's seductive.
It's seductive. That's the word I was looking for. Thank you. Seductive, and there's not anybody not any Jedi can stay away from that side of the Force. Only a few should be able to, and maybe just one in the entire universe should be able to, right? So,
oh man, this great Jedi topic's got some legs. I can't wait.
Yeah, so
we got some good stuff.
I think Nathan, you've got a fantastic point here, and in my opinion, I wish we had more to go off of to see how everybody else was acting. That would have been interesting, right? Because right now we only have this little tiny story and some comics, and that's about it. But it would have been interesting to see things starting to divide and tear apart once they start discovering more and learning more. And it's only natural for me, in my opinion, for there to be a clear distinction. Okay, anything that's even remotely close over here, just a hard no, because it's too seductive. We've lost too many Jedi, and they're too powerful. So
some interesting stuff here. I wonder if Lanoree had been more light side as opposed to having her own inner anguish and rage. I wonder if she would have been more likable. It's just like the fact that she is a little bit gruff and gritty.
Yeah.
So the audiobook had the epilogue, and I felt like Lanoree was actually trending more towards like the dark side and the power and the anger in the epilogue, which was interesting. I would have really liked to see how that played out.
And if you want more Dawn of the Jedi, we actually have an episode coming up. We have to finagle the time zones, and we have to jump through a hyper gate, actually. We're worried it might actually make a whole black hole when we activate it. Yeah. We are recording a special bonus episode with our buddy Trevor from the Star Wars Archives this weekend. And so that's going to be dropping in the feeds very soon.
Trevor DeAvey.
I think it'll be... I think that's going to be on 2 weeks from tonight. I think we're going to air it during our regular live show time as long as we can get that all straightened out and figured out. And so we are going to be covering some of the ancillary material related to this season of Legends Look Back, the ancient history of the Jedi. We're going to have a Dawn of the Jedi tie-in title that we talk about. We're going to talk about some ancillary material related to Tales of the Jedi and also Lost Tribe of the Sith. So if you want more of that, you can check that out here on youtube.com/YOUTINI. We have shows every Thursday night at 9:30 Eastern. Next week, however, there will be no live show. But, Rick, can I have the one for a second? I got something very exciting to say.
Yep. Give me a second.
Yeah, and then we're gonna have our giveaway here in just a second. So no live show next week. Here's why. I'm doing something very special and Star Wars related, and I don't think I'm gonna leak what it is yet. But I will, for the very first time in my life, get to visit a Star Wars filming location. And so check out an update on that coming very soon. So very excited to unleash that. Also, next Thursday there will be no live show, but I'm going to be launching the behind-the-scenes video on how I have built my very own gonk droid.
Gonk.
So throw your gonks in the chat and take it easy on me, because I've never tried to build a droid before, and boy, has it been rough. It's been difficult. So, Rick, are we ready for the giveaway?
Yeah, I just got to say one more thing, and that is that I liked Trey's third head tail, so I was, just thought it was cool.
I was cool with it until they
call
all
him
started
Trey?
stroking each other.
Yeah.
Crossed the line for me.
Yeah. Tree.
It's
what is
gross.
his name?
Trisana.
I guess Trey works because he's got 3 head tails. That
That makes sense.
I don't
it's
know.
low dangling fruit.
Right.
Oh.
Low dangling Leku. Okay.
Okay, so if you are watching the show live here on YouTube, we are about to have the giveaway. We're going to roll here for who our winner is. All you have to do to enter the giveaway, we're going to give you another 10-15 seconds to enter. If you want to enter the giveaway, all you have to do is comment in the chat. Say something nice. Say something, literally anything at all. And we're going to enter you in the giveaway to win this hardcover copy of Dawn of the Jedi Into the Void. If you don't win, you can go on over to youtini.com, click on that release schedule, and pre-order your very own copy of the Essential Legends Collection, soon to be released copy of Dawn of the Jedi Into the Void. All right, giving people one last chance to enter here. Thank you, everybody, for being here with us live in the chat. A lot of good comments, some healthy debate, discussion, and plenty of jokes about people's names like the Alien. So that was fun.
I'm sorry.
Enjoyed it. We ready to roll it, Rick?
Let's go. You ready?
Let's do it. Let's go for it.
Tell me when to stop.
All right. Oh, cool. Look at that. If you're listening and you're not here with us live, we've got a really cool visual giveaway machine that's rolling all the names. And I can't stop looking at it. I'm just going to keep talking because it's very fun. All right. Stop, Rick.
Oh,
Kit Fisto is our winner.
Fit Kisto, you're the winner.
Fit
Congratulations.
Kisto. Is that the name? Did you get it wrong or did I say it wrong?
You've been saying it wrong all
Yeah,
night,
you
so I had to subtly pronounce it correctly.
It's okay.
So congratulations. All you have to do is DM us. I don't know how to do that. So what you might have to do is DM us on Twitter or in the Legends Look Back or the YOUTINI Discord. So send you can send me, I'm Jedi Pastor in the Discord, send me a Discord DM with your address, and we will send you your copy. Or on Twitter, you can DM the Legends Look Back account. And Fit Kisto, we will get you this copy sent in the mail very soon. Nathan, thank you for joining us tonight. It's been very fun.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You better.
Last thoughts on the book? Anything you haven't had the chance to say that you got to get it out now?
Fit Kisto, you better make sure Jared actually gets it in the mail, or else it'll get lost in his house, and it'll be like 3 months before he actually sends it to you. So,
I found those posters, didn't I, Rick?
You did, and I haven't put them up yet because they.
No. I got to send this out before Wednesday because I'm about to be overseas.
True that.
and Jared, we'll likely do more of these giveaways in the future. So come and watch the live YouTube, because you could win some books, some Legends books.
Yeah, you heard it here first, folks. Freddie's mailing you some dope stuff.
He's got 1,000 copies of that one book.
Bakura.
Yeah. And hey, Fit Kisto, let us know if you want us to throw in some Legends Look Back bookmarks or stickers or some fun stuff like that. Those are easy to throw in the package.
But Nathan, you were saying your
right.
final thoughts on the book, because we
Thank you,
got
Lanoree.
totally off.
Thank you.
I
rails.
appreciate what this book did. It was an ambitious project. It gave it a good effort. The world building was really cool. And I mean, if you're thrown 20,000 years before anything that's ever been published, that's a big task. And I think it did a pretty solid job at creating a compelling world.
Well said.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Love that. All right, so we got some great comments here in the chat of folks who are wanting to follow along with what we're reading next. And we need to get like a cool graphic, but we don't have one. So what we're going to do is just tell you. Freddie, tell the good folks what our next roundtable is going to be about. We're in a very special season of the ancient history of the Jedi here this spring on Legends Look Back.
Yes.
Freddie, what's up next?
We're getting into some tales of the Jedi. That's the next roundtable. Pretty excited.
Love it.
Not head tails.
Nope, not head tails. Had enough of that.
Brain tales. Yeah, so we're going to cover the Tales of the Jedi comics coming up here in a few weeks on Legends Look Back. So there's, 25, 30 issues. We're going to split it up into several episodes. You can do one story arc at a time. And we'll give more details on that, both on the Legends Look Back Twitter account and in the Legends Look Back Discord channel, the YOUTINI Discord. Going over to youtini.com, and you can find that the link to join the Discord over there. So that does it for this week. Thanks for joining us for Legends Look Back. Thanks to our incredible patrons for your support. Special thank you to our Jedi High Council, Brian Dooley, Earl Q, and Carl Sander, as well as the Alliance High Command, Chris Carrizo and Ashley Ingalls. Remember to sub to the channel and leave us a review in your podcast.
There it is.
Did you lose me? Man, I was flawlessly getting through that outro, I'll tell you what. All right, where were we at?
You were.
We got to Carl.
Carl Sanders.
Yeah, hey, thank you to Carl Sander. Carl's a real one. Also, the Alliance High Command, Chris Carrizo and Ashley Ingalls. Remember to sub to the channel and leave us a review in your podcast platform of choice. Want your thoughts right on the show? You can find our contact information in the description below. We're also on Twitter at Legends Look Back. Remember to keep the YOUTINI fan code and be a force for positivity in the fandom. May the force be with you.
This is a YOUTINI broadcast.